activist and political analyst Bachar el Halabi, who is live for us in Istanbul. Good to have you with us. Clearly, the government in Lebanon stepping down has done nothing to appease protesters. Do you think they'll be satisfied with anything less than a complete overhaul of the power sharing deal that underpins the political process there?
Good evening, madam. Absolutely. I couldn't have worded it any better, and I really appreciate the fact that you stated it as clear as possible. It's not about a government. It's not about personnel anymore. It's not about a single party. It's about a 100-year-old political system set up in place that needs to go. This system has been responsible for 2 civil wars, actually 3, with the events back in 2008. It is responsible as well for one of the largest Ponzi schemes in the history of mankind. Basically, Lebanese depositors' money has vanished from the banks. And now it is also responsible for a nuclear-like explosion that rocked the city, killing over 200 people and displacing hundreds of thousands, in addition to the financial losses that resulting from this explosion. So definitely, a government's resignation is not something to appease people in the streets, mind you, and we need to remind everyone, and the viewers especially, that Lebanese protesters have been taking the streets since October 17, 2019. These protests were popular all over the country. They transcended sectarian fault lines. They transcended geographic location fault lines, and they demanded the fall of the regime, of this sectarian power sharing arrangement. We've had enough with this arrangement. We need to move forward. Protesters on the street are calling for a secular state. We need to move away from this clientelist-like sectarian system that only feeds people who are loyal to it and steps away from anyone or actually marginalizes anyone who is competent to be in the right place. Obviously, the result is in front of the world to watch.
But Bachar, this will require the agreement of all those various sectarian groups, including and especially Hezbollah, who is arguably the biggest political influence in Lebanon. Are they willing to negotiate a change to the political system?
Absolutely not. They're not willing to negotiate anything because they've had the chance, by the way, over the past 10 months, strictly the past 10 months, to do something about the catastrophe that was unfolding in front of us in the country, whether from the pandemic or whether from the economic meltdown. And the system in place did not reform or did not pass a single reform in that regard. Mind you, the Sadr conference, the donor conference back in 2018, raised almost $11 billion for the Lebanese sectarian ruling elite. They were not able to pass one single reform in order to untap or unlock this money, which was going to help them recycle basically themselves and to strengthen their positions in the country. This is the first thing. On the issue of the secular state, they're all deeply entrenched sectarian parties. They will never accept such a change in the system, regardless whether they call for this or not. And in addition to the issue of them accepting or not, Hezbollah is definitely the elephant in the room. Will it accept this fate? Of course not. However, Hezbollah is not only nowadays an issue or a challenge for the Lebanese to tackle, but rather it's an international challenge that the entire world is engaged in due to its malicious activity running from Latin America to the Far East.
Bachar, thank you. Bachar el Halabi there.